He can't play this week because Tua isn't eligible until week 8 when they play the Cardinals. It felt like the momentum was building toward Tua coming back for that game. They need him. None of the other quarterbacks are getting it done. The season's starting to fall apart. When Mike McDaniel says, I expect him to play at some point in 2024, my reaction is, if you don't start winning some games, I don't expect him to play in 2024, because there's a point where you just say, there's no reason to put him back on the field. Let him. I assumed when the concussion happened, we saw the fencing posture. People were calling, I think, prematurely and a little irresponsibly for him to retire right in the aftermath of it. I was hoping that the way this would work out is get him through the season, make a decision after the season without the urgency of a game or a season riding on it, because that's a magnet, especially when you're at the games. It's a magnet drawing you back out onto the field.
And I thought you hit it right on the head a few weeks ago when we discussed this. And your biggest fear, you said, was that he would feel the need to come back to help save this team. And I agree with you. I think if they can't muster up some wins, then, yeah, you just sit out. So, I mean, I think for Tua, the best case scenario is the Dolphins keep losing and he gets the opportunity to make a decision that is based purely on him and his future health, everything down the line, his wife, his kids, and not the feeling of being in the building, watching the offensive film, sitting in the quarterback meeting room and having to hear guys get coached up or see the bad football on tape, and then having to go in the locker room and laugh and joke with your guys, knowing they're taking the field and you're not. And then in the back of your mind, knowing you give the team the best opportunity to win. Like, that kind of pressure for a player is just so hard, because you never get out of the moment of not want to let your teammates down, not want to, go out there and side-by-side fight with them. So I really hope he doesn't have to feel that pressure. I've been in situations where I've played hurt and done different things. And I'm honest, the motivating factor for me was I knew when I was out there, I helped our team win football games. I knew the role I played for the team, and I just want to fill that role each and every time I had the opportunity to do it. So I played hurt. I did those things. So I just hope in this situation that burden gets lifted off of Tua and he can just make a decision, hopefully in the offseason, with a lot of time to think about it.
The fact that McDaniel phrased it the way he did, Devin, I think speaks to, I hope, the sensitivity to that urgency and the idea that we can't bring him back at a time when we feel like we need him and him alone to turn this around. Mm-hmm. So basically, let's see if we can turn this around without him, thereby reducing the urgency and making it easier for him to come back when he's ready. If we can't turn it around without him, we already have our answer. He doesn't play again this year. Again, I'm thinking about his long-term career, and I know at the end of the day it's his decision. No one should be making the decision for him. We take far greater risks in this country for far less money than what Tua Tagovailoa makes to assume the risk of yet another concussion. It's his business. It's his decision once he's cleared. But there are other factors that I think complicate it, tempt you, and maybe make you make a bad decision that you wouldn't have made without the benefit of some distance and take some of that steam out of the situation. I think that's all we're hoping for, his opportunity to make the best decision for himself. I don't know that these circumstances provide it.
Yeah, and I want to give credit to Mike McDaniel, because oftentimes in the NFL, we say it's a business and we say no one really cares about you. It's all about how you can help the team now. And it just feels like since Mike McDaniel's gotten down to Miami, the one thing that sticks out about him, even when you talk to people, is that it seems like he cares. He cares about the players. He's been very supportive of Tua. You've seen their relationship kind of shine through Hard Knocks. So I love that he's keeping Tua's interest, it seems like, at the front of this situation, and saying, like you just said, let's figure things out first, and then we can address Tua and what the pros and cons of him coming back. And that's all pros and cons to him as a person, not just the Miami Dolphins football team. So I got to credit Mike McDaniel for doing it the right way.
Emotional intelligence, that's the phrase that you hear from time to time. I mean, Mike McDaniel's a smart guy, but he's a people person, and he understands that you can't treat guys like pieces of a machine that are going to be thrown out into the street and replaced. You have to care about your guys, especially your quarterback, but all your players. You have to, and it's hard. See, that's the problem. I think that's why Bill Belichick always had distance from like Tom Brady. It's hard if you develop personal feelings for someone to then do what you have to do. You can still be nice and friendly and get along, and everybody's grown up. They understand at some point players are going to be cut. They're going to be traded. It's a zero-sum game of 53 athletes. You go from 90 to 53 every year. We're big boys. We get this. You can still be nice to the person without believing it's going to affect your ultimate judgment. And I've yet to see, I don't know, I don't think it affects Mike McDaniel's judgment as a coach that he gives a crap about his players. They understand how it works.
Yeah, and it's so much back to who you are as a person. And I think sometimes we watch these coaches and we either get annoyed or we compliment them. But the truth of the matter is they're still people. So sometimes people are really good at understanding their emotions and talking and doing those different things that comes along with, having to be a head coach. Other times, that's not other guys' strengths. And I think, obviously I spent my whole 13 years with Coach Belichick. I don't think one of his strengths is being a people person and being out and about and making new friends and talking and building on relationships that are just personal relationships with players, because that's just not who he is. And that's what I've always loved and respected about Bill Belichick was he's himself. And I see the same thing in Mike McDaniel. Just his true self, no matter, what people think or what Bill or what thing he might need to try to fit to be a head coach. He doesn't care about that. And it was the same thing my time in New England with Coach Belichick. He was just himself. Whether you liked it or you didn't, he wasn't changing for anybody.
And, I think people like authenticity just because they know what they're dealing with. There's no games being played.
Exactly.
Nobody's speaking out of two sides of their mouth. Nobody's saying anything different behind your back than they'll say to your face. They are who they are, unapologetically and unwaveringly. Life's too hard to try to be anyone other than who you are. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.